If you want more of a sense of community, I think it's actually literally so far the best that I have seen of all the different social media in fostering that sense, because it's so conversational and so much in real time. Hey, namaste, beautiful goddess. It's Yogini Viv here. So watch this video, even if you have not heard of Clubhouse, even if you're like, it's not an interest of mine, because this will also apply to other social media channels for us as spiritual women and how to approach them in a healthy way. What is Clubhouse? Clubhouse is a relatively new app. As I'm recording this, it is fairly early in 2021, but a lot of you still may not have heard of this app, but it is blowing up right now. It's audio only. That's the first thing to establish. It's audio only. Live radio with a call-in. And I know that sounds kind of like static. It sounds very old school, but I'm going to talk to you about why I think it's important. Again, I'll give pros and cons, so stick with me. So I'm going to go through the cons first, and then I'm going to go to the pros. Folks I watch that talk about YouTube, they said, oh my God, they were just sharing about it casually, and they're like, it's so addictive. Of course, that caught my attention because I'm like, why is it addictive? Like, what is it about it, right? The curiosity factor. This happens several times, about 3 times. Now, I believe as a spiritual person, if something comes up 3 times in a short succession, I listen. I just want to know why that's coming to my attention, because, you know, spirit has to speak to us in some way. The first con is that it has an addictive quality. Now, some of you may know more about how algorithms work and how they have, you know, brilliant minds here, even on YouTube, of course, where they predict what you like. There's a definite, you know, you get sucked in, but I'm going to say for the pros as to why. So you get sucked in. That's the first negative. Piggybacking on that is that it can take up a lot of time because it's so addicting, right? That's what addiction means. Like you're doing something sort of excessively or don't feel you have full control over it, right? Once I started to investigate the app, I definitely would find myself spending a lot of time on it. Okay, I'd spend a lot of time on it. All tying together, then it can distract you from, you know, other things that you you have a focus on, the goals you have, the intentions you have. Keep listening, because I'm going to explain how some of these cons, these negatives about Clubhouse can actually, if you work with it right, and with any social media app, can be a positive. Like many social media, it can bring up comparison, you know, be triggering self-esteem issues, comparison of yourself to another person. So I'm going to tell you right now, don't leave. I think it is overall worth it, but I want to explain why. And so let's get into the pros of this particular app. So the first pro, why is it addictive? It's addictive of all the apps. It feels that you actually interacting more with real people in real time. That's why it's addictive, is because it feels like, Clubhouse feels like you do actually get to connect with people because you're hearing someone's voice in real time. It's like a party. It's like you're at a party. Especially coming out of, you know, the health crises and all the economic and all the different woes, political. I think part of the reason this app is hitting so big as I'm recording this is because it really does make you feel more connected than other apps that are already there. And at the end, I will have an offer for you that, you know, if you're interested in checking it out. The other pro, this happened to me and I like freaked out. So don't laugh at me. Be honest about if it was a person you would make you sort of freak out. I just randomly got into a room in Clubhouse, a room. So think of it as like hallways at like a conference. So there are different hallways and you might see a sign for this and a sign for that. You know, we're talking about the divine feminine. We're talking about male-female relationships. We're talking about money. Once you're in the room, you can be a speaker or, you know, you're in the audience. You can go from audience to speaker. So I just ended up in a room, you guys, randomly, and I ended up hearing the answer to a question that Gayle King, okay, Oprah's BFF, and Beyonce's mom, whose name I'm blocking, you guys. I'm really sorry, her first name. But I recognized her. I recognized her name. They were literally in this room. So again, in real time. So imagine though, if you were in a party suddenly with people who you're like, oh wow, you know, I've heard of you, or I respect what you've done, that you can learn from. So that is a pro. That particular question, like I said, I came in on the tail end and I was so excited. I like left the room quietly, which you can do, to go tell my friend, hey, I'm in this room with, you know, Beyonce's mom and Gayle King and oh my God, on Clubhouse. So think about that though, goddess, for you when you want to connect with some of you who watch my channel. Maybe you are a Reiki healer. Maybe you are, you know, a teacher, an educator of some sort. Maybe you are self-employed. There are all these different groups forming where it's just beyond networking. It is like networking on steroids. It's really, really intense. You can be talking to someone across the country who is, you know, has some large company and they're the VP and they just happen to be on. Another quick example, Grant Cordone. Some of you have heard of him. Maybe not a lot of my watchers, but he's this businessman. He's kind of loud. He's kind of brash. Actually, it was a Shark Tank-like room on Clubhouse and people were pitching their businesses, big businesses. I learned so much from listening, even though I'm very different than Grant Cordone, and probably even at a party wouldn't necessarily want to talk to him. He was giving some just like dropping gems, like just great advice that, you know, myself as a solopreneur, you know, in wellness and meditation, I learned a lot. So again, this is a huge pro. This is a huge pro, goddess. You pick where you go, you know, you pick what room you enter, and there's a lot you can learn. You don't have to take the stage. You don't have to speak. The ability to meet people in real time that would be impossible to meet, you know, in your small town or in the city you live in because they're across the world, they're in Tokyo, they're in Paris. It's amazing. If you are a healer or you do any work like that, or you want to also just share what you do with like-minded people, then I do think you should be on Clubhouse because you can speak. And I think it's really important for us as women. As you know, I really believe the world needs us to step forward now, teaching, sharing, healing, helping. And so Clubhouse, because it uses only voice, you can tell a lot about a person. A voice is very intimate. It can really connect you because there's no visual. Goddess, it can be really comfortable to, you know, be at home or wherever and share without worrying about, do you have makeup on? What are you wearing? Basically cuts out that sort of superficial, sometimes the visual that can limit us, okay? So I actually think that it's worth checking out Clubhouse. As I'm speaking, it's literally only open for iPhone, but it's going to change very soon and be open to all. And so if you're interested in Clubhouse, reach out to me. And I'm doing these really quick sessions where I give you everything I've learned so far about how to share about your work, your mission, whatever you're doing, maybe your nonprofit on Clubhouse, okay? So just connect with me, and if you have an interest in how the app works and how to get an invite and things like that, okay? So I'm just putting that out now. That may change as the app gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Check the links below. I will be on Clubhouse. I have a podcast, you guys, but I like the real time of this. I love audio. I love speaking, as you know. You've heard my guided meditations. So the invite I want to give to all of you, I am on Clubhouse as Viv Will, my first name shortened and my last name shortened, Viv Will. And I'll be sharing over there. I'm going to do a chakra series, okay, number 1. So follow me over there. A really important thing I want to mention about why I think it's a workable app for spiritual people is, to me, it's like old-fashioned radio, which I grew up listening to. You know, like in the morning and I'd get ready for school, I had a radio station I'd listen to. Like I wouldn't spend an hour straight through on Instagram, but you can spend an hour listening while you're doing other stuff. So just set a time limit. You know, especially if you're still inside a lot for COVID or for your work, you know, because of all of this, and you know, maybe you don't have a busy family like in the home with you and you just want to like hear and connect with other people. And the comparison thing, that was the other con I had mentioned. So how does the comparison thing come up with Clubhouse? You see everybody's bio. So basically you see a little picture of the person speaking, and there'll be like a little flashing, it's like a tan color around them that you know that's the speaker. But then you can click and look at their bio. And that can trigger, you know, career-wise, like, oh, she has, you know, an MBA way, or she went to this school and blah, blah, blah. The comparison is real in terms of social media. That is absolutely still there with Clubhouse. I think that has to be something more for ourselves to work with healing and not getting pulled into that trap, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So it's going to have to be an issue where we don't compare ourselves to others, because we are unique. Each person has a gift that it may not be a gift where, you know, millions of people want to watch them on a stage, but it might be a gift for like taking care and rescuing, you know, cats, or there's so many expressions of our gift. Altars, how if you're working with a particular chakra, some ideas on how you might want to decorate your altar or meditation space. That should be the very next thing that comes out, either maybe comes out right before this video or right after. If you have any questions about Clubhouse or want my brief Clubhouse training, let me know. Be open, try things, but with anything, trust your intuition, goddess. And that's what all of my training and all of my work is about, is trusting our intuition, which is very deep. Our wisdom is very deep, and we just have to begin to listen to that. So namaste, stay blissed and blessed. Bye, bliss babe.